All right, welcome in, everybody. New time slot, new energy, new excitement for Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5 here. 6 o'clock Central Time is now when we go, and looking forward to entertaining those of you who are on your way home from work. Remember, as always, the call-in number 713-780-3776, 713-780-3776, as we stream at ESPN 975.com. Wow, excited for this time slot. This is going to be great. And as always, we are presented by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. So we continue to pose the question. Houston is hosting the World Cup in 2026. You, the Houston soccer community, you brought this thing here. Throughout the night, 713-780-3776. You can always tell me and tell the other listeners, what does the World Cup coming to Houston mean to you? We're only 2 years away from it, which is pretty incredible to think. It is flying by. We've got the Copa America this summer. We have the Gold Cup the following summer. We got Women's Gold Cup going on this week. We got the Houston Dynamo in action tomorrow night in CONCACAF Champions League. So we're going to get our first sort of unveiling of the Houston Dynamo tomorrow with a lot of questions going into that. We've got Ben Olsen on the show here tonight. Ben Olsen has already said, and I'm just tipping you off a little bit, the interview was done earlier in the day from St. Louis. But Ben has already mentioned starter tomorrow night is going to be Hector Herrera. So he's been scoring goals in preseason. Now we get the live action and see if it can carry over there. We got Premier League talk here tonight. We have talk about the Open Cup. Open Cup was important to the Houston Dynamo. But now Major League Soccer and U.S. Soccer are going at it a little bit, and they're trying to figure out how many MLS teams are going to enter the tournament. Now, remember, the reason why everybody's very emotional about this is the oldest tournament, certainly in soccer, but it is one of the oldest tournaments in the United States, to my knowledge. But it also is very ethnic-based, Philadelphia Ukrainians, Maccabi, Los Angeles, many of the Greek teams on the East Coast, Crete, New York Greek Americans. There's a lot of soccer history in this, and this is why people are upset. Now, once the Leagues Cup came into Major League Soccer, then all of a sudden you have something that is monetized in a bigger and better way with the mixture of MLS and Liga MX teams. So a lot to get into here tonight. And again, number to call in, 713-780-3776. 713-780-3776. So Dynamo in action tomorrow night. Turn around and play on Saturday. That'll be their home Major League Soccer opener against Sporting Kansas City. That will be on Apple. And then next Tuesday night, we were kind of laughing before we got in here, producer Guillermo and I. We were laughing about the fact that game is 9:30 next Tuesday night. So I said, that's after my bedtime. So I'm going to go to sleep about 5, set the alarm for 9:15, and then get down to the stadium. But 2 legs against St. Louis, and we'll see. And the winner will then get the MLS Cup champions Columbus Crew in the round of 16. That would be in early March. So a lot going on. And as always, the Champions Cup is important because the winner qualifies for the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup and then the 2024 FIFA Intercontinental Cup. So it's an important tournament. All right. So listen, I put something out on social media, and it was about Messi. And now there's a lot going on with him here. MLS is so heavily invested in Lionel Messi right now. And why wouldn't they be? He won the World Cup with Argentina just over a year ago. So here we are on the cusp of MLS in 2024. And what is the main topic? The main topic and talking point for the most part is Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. That's what a man of that caliber and celebrity and fame brings. Now, this is a guy that does not have to work for that. It's all his soccer. He's not on Twitter like, LeBron James and a lot of these other high-profile athletes. He's a guy that, in a really funny way, doesn't really even seem to care about it. Yet people are crazy about seeing him. So we're not talking about Hugo Lloris to LAFC. We're not talking about Josef Martinez leaving Inter Miami to go to Montreal. We're not talking about Julian Gressel from an MLS Cup champion to Inter Miami. We're talking about Lionel Messi. And fans are wondering how they're going to be able to fit all these high-profile players under a strict league salary cap. There's a lot of wink-wink there, right? People think concessions are being made. It's hard to kind of argue against that. So the names Messi, Busquets, Alba, Suarez, rumors of Neymar now. There is something very, I don't know what the word is, manipulative, political about the star building of the super club. But now they're apparently in trouble. So maybe there's a lot we don't know. Is it good for MLS? I think you can look at it in a few ways. And I think one of the ways you look at it is simply when you bring a man of that caliber here, that your league is all of a sudden getting all these eyeballs, right? He starts off with the dramatic run in Leagues Cup. Now you want to monetize this guy as much as possible. He's only going to be here a short time, this Golden Goose. And Jorge Mas and David Beckham, Major League Soccer, they know it. That's why they put him on tour. The tour was a success on one hand because they made a lot of money, I'm assuming. On the other hand, it was a disaster when it comes to Major League Soccer and what it looks like. And I get it. The apologists and everybody who's on board is going to say, well, it's just preseason and all that. And no, I don't buy that. I think every time you put your product out there, especially Major League Soccer with Lionel Messi, there's a risk. And that's the risk. And it's the rare opportunity also that you can put that type of a tour together. But again, the Leagues Cup run, that was themes, that was dreams of milk and honey. You couldn't have scripted that out better. But then they don't make the playoffs. The Tour of Asia, Saudi Arabia, it's a struggle. So you can quantify what that did to the image of MLS. And I'm sure there's lots of different takes on that. I did feel like there were too many people like apologizing for, well, it's just friendlies and almost apologists for MLS. Did you get that sense, Guillermo, from social media and everything after, this tour became a bit difficult? People got injured. Messi was not able to play in a specific game. Did you get that sense that there was a part of the media apologizing for what was going on when we all know that's a risk?
Definitely a little bit of everything. The bad thing about the media and the internet nowadays is you might see one side of the coin when the other one's right there, but you just don't get to see it. Because I have seen apologists, like how you said, but I've seen the other side of the coin as well.
Yeah, and I use the word, this is fascinating, because it is in a lot of ways. MLS is going to want to monetize this man, and it's a short time he's going to be here. It's Messi and friends. Everybody wants to move to Miami. He, as we saw in the Leagues Cup, and we want him to get better and we want him to compete and play well, he will elevate his teammates in the competition. But it's going to be really interesting to see from the start of a season if Inter Miami can put it together in a physical, pressing league that's going to be a challenge to the balance of this group of older veterans. You're talking about Busquets, Alba, Luis Suarez, who looked pretty heavy-legged on that trip a few times. These older veterans, it's got to be a challenge. And I do believe, much like Hector Herrera in Houston, I don't think Hector can do another season like he did last year. The physical demands on him, the emotional. I mean, that was an MVP season from Hector Herrera. I don't think that can happen again to that degree. I don't like to ever say never, but I think he's going to have to be managed a little bit more with workload. But again, when you talk about Tata Martino, the challenge with Messi, and you talk about Ben Olsen, the challenge with Hector Herrera, these guys don't want to come off the field. They're like Wayne Rooney. They want to play every game. That's why when people were like, oh, Messi didn't want to play. No, he wanted to play in Hong Kong. Trust me. He had an adductor injury. He said it. He's come out today. there's a little bit too much pandering to China, and I like China, and I've been there. I didn't get all that. That almost like somebody was, holding him hostage a little bit. But he's such a humble guy. But the push for Inter Miami, the stars, the celebrity, it fits right into the narrative of sports today. Sports today, celebrity, sport, it's all intermingling. Miami's about as hot as it can be right now. Everybody wants to move there. So I'm going to enjoy how this unfolds in MLS. But in the meantime, we'll see. What else is there to talk about? I mean, there are coaching changes in MLS. There's player moves. We have now some rule changes that are going to, I think, really speed the game up a la baseball. Time-saving rules, time substitutions. You got to get off the field quicker. So different rules for injuries to keep things moving. Apparently, they will announce VAR decisions in the stadium, so there's going to be that. You're also going to have a clock countdown in stoppage time, so people have a little bit more idea of when and where stoppage time is going to end. So I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be an interesting, exciting year. And I think there are going to be a lot of challenges. But again, like the Dynamo, with the injuries that they've incurred, they don't have to make sure they get it all right here in the first 2 weeks of the season, because that's just the way MLS works. All right, let's get into some Premier League talk here as we continue on. By the way, 713-780-3776. Do you like the new purple Dynamo jersey? A little bit of controversy around it. Simply from the color and the piping. I like it. 713-780-3776. 713-780-3776. All right, Liverpool gets a 4-1 victory over Brentford. Guess who's back? Our great Egyptian friend. We'll call him the Egyptian magician, Mo Salah.
Salah's chasing this. Is he going to get there? Well, he has. Is Salah... Collins trying to keep him away, but he can't. Salah's scored. He's back. He's got another goal, and Liverpool are going to pocket the points here.
All right, 4-1 over Brentford. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Premier League. I do want to just bring up this soundbite real quick from Jurgen Klopp. Listen carefully to this, because this deals directly with the relationship with players. But the fact that when you hear everybody's harmonious, everybody's happy, no locker room is ever happy. If you don't make the bench, you're not happy. If you don't make the first 11, you're not happy. So listen to the way Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, discusses this. I think this is perfect.
The 11 players who start, they love me. The 7 on the bench maybe like me. The others hate me for this weekend. And then we start again. Your leadership has to be like this, that everybody understands why you do things. Means you do this, you get that. And if that's clear, then the players have a clear book where they can, okay, if I do that, I might not get into the team tomorrow, but in a week's time, I have a good chance, and that's it.
So that's about as well put as you can put it. And then each and every week, it all starts over again. So if you want to get out of not being in the first team and you want to get off the bench, you have a chance to do that. If you want to get onto the bench as a squad player, you work for that. And then the guys that are the 11 starters that apparently love Klopp, those guys have to defend their positions. All right, to the phone lines real quick here before a break. Let's go to Martin. Martin, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Glenn? First of all, I wanted to say I agree with you on everything about the whole Inter Miami stuff. I think after they won the League Cup, it was kind of, for me, it was kind of embarrassing after that tour. It didn't go that well, so that was pretty embarrassing. And I don't know if you can settle something for me. Maybe I'm still a little confused. All these moves that Inter Miami is doing, is it to better the game of the league or to better the business of the MLS? Because I don't know about you, call me old-fashioned, but this isn't the way to better the game. I'll hang up and listen.
Martin, thanks for that. I think it's a little bit of both. I think when you have the Messi and friends coming to your town, I definitely think that every team in Major League Soccer is going to try to give them their best game. Every guy that's on the field with Lionel Messi wants to say they had a good game that day. I don't think there's any question, but it is definitely commercial. MLS is commercial, no different than any other professional league in the world, top to bottom. So I think we can all have differing takes on the Miami thing. I say from an interest level, it's a good thing. Imagine being on that team, and all of a sudden Lionel Messi, you're playing with a guy who just lifted the World Cup. Incredible. But as we get to break, I would just say this, that it's Tata Martino's job to put a team together now that can compete. And like I said, they're going to get everybody's best game. Take a break here. Soccer Matters, ESPN 97.5 is brought to you by John Daspit and the Daspit Law Firm. It's daspitlaw.com, 713. Call now. John and his firm gets us on the air. Really excited for the 6 o'clock time slot. Great call there from Martin. We appreciate that. All right, when we come back, Houston Dynamo fans, it's your manager, Ben Olsen, is up next. All right, Ben, all your years in coaching in Major League Soccer, is this the most difficult preseason you've ever gone through with injury and transactional things?
No, I think you have these every now and then. I certainly don't want to be dramatic about kind of the preparations. We have a good group, and there's been a lot of positives, and kind of being able to hit the ground running with kind of who we are and where we want to move this group towards. But there's been some hiccups and some hurdles for sure, whether it's injuries, whether it's this stuff, but teams are dealing with some of this as well. And I think the important thing to kind of remind yourself during these types of preseasons, when it all doesn't go according to plan, is that it's a long season, and each one of these years or journeys, I hate using the word journey, but they all are different. And that means when we bring in new players, the timing of that is going to be different. When we peak is going to be different. When we have, some low points, that's maybe going to be at a different time this year than it was last year. So, it's just important to understand that and keep pushing forward, stay positive with the group, and we also, there's a lot to be excited about with again, the returning players, some of the new guys are having some opportunities to step up into some spots, and also for us to take a real look at them. With absences comes this opportunity for not only players to show now with real minutes what they're about, but it's also a great time for us as coaches to adapt and think differently about our group, and challenge ourselves as well.
He's Ben Olsen, head coach of the Houston Dynamo. Tomorrow, the Dynamo in action against St. Louis in the CONCACAF Champions League. Home opener is on Saturday against Sporting Kansas City. HoustonDynamo.com for your tickets. The big talking point, Ben, obviously Hector Herrera's injury, and now this sad injury to Nelson Quinones. Is there any timetable on Hector?
He's back. Hector, after he spent some time in Portugal, he shot over to Spain to get his green card for him and the family. That's public information, right? It is now. So that's great. That's great for a whole bunch of different reasons. And I think so now he's back in market, I think, as of today. So Bassi was also over in Europe figuring out some green card stuff. So these are things that you can't necessarily control. And going back to your original question on Hector, we don't want to give a timeline necessarily, in particular before we really get our hands on him. Our medical staff and our trainers get their hands on him. We went over and visited and made sure everything was on the up and up, and he looks good, but it will be a little bit, and I think we'll come out with more of a collective time frame for everybody, or a more specific timeline for everybody in the next kind of week or two.
Can you go into the injury, or is that something you want to stay away from?
It's not the. I don't want to get into too much of that. It's nothing new. It's again, it's something that it was a procedure so that we can make him. So he can sustain the entire year and the pounding that the league that the league demands. So we when he gets back, we anticipate him being back for the full year. This is not something that we don't believe that he's going to come back. We feel like in the next few months he'll be ready to roll for us, and we'll be in a really good spot, and he'll give us a real boost both on and off the field, but also obviously on the field, what he brings to the table. But you can't replace him, and that's what I talked about. We have to find out who we are without Hector Herrera. That's not an easy task to do from a coaching standpoint or players. He means a lot to everybody here. But that's the reality we face, and our job now is to get results without him. And when he comes back, start to kind of live again with life with Hector.
Ben, did that make signing Jan Gregush, who's an excellent player, did that make that a little bit more of an urgent situation for you in midfield?
Absolutely. There's always reactions to these moments, and a Nelson Quinones being out for the year. There's always a reaction to that, and making sure that you have the right depth. But also, sometimes you can overreact to those and go get players and not trust something within, right? And we were fairly deep last year, and there's some guys that are chomping at the bit to prove that they're the guy to fill in, rather than us go search the globe for a replacement. And that's something we've got. We had the luxury to evaluate more in this preseason because some guys have been out. So Sebastian Kowalczyk's had gotten a lot more minutes this year with the starting group. Well, Brooklyn Reigns is getting more important minutes. So there, Ibrahim Aliou playing more on the left, and Sebas Ferreira getting his minutes. So it's a new team. It's a new team, and it's an exciting one, and we're looking forward to getting on the field tomorrow.
Ben, with those two key injuries, does that change the game model? Because you guys put together a nice game model last year based on the players that you had with that box midfield and then the emergence of Griffin. Does that change now with the injuries, or do you kind of stick to that and play into those positions?
It doesn't necessarily change kind of our principles. The game model may be tweaked a little bit, but the principles will stay the same. And it could change. It's still results oriented business here. So we're going to go after it in a similar way. But if we have to adapt, we'll do that. But that's why it's just nice to get some real games on the calendar and get one under our belt tomorrow, and we'll identify, again, who we are and how to kind of tweak or enhance. It's funny because we have a similar group, we have a game model, but the kind of doesn't change from last year. It's every game we're evaluating, and we're going to tweak and change and push. So as much as we're more kind of clear on who we are with some of these changes, we still have a lot to find out about this group over the next few months until we're full strength.
Ben Olsen joining us, head coach of the Houston Dynamo. Tomorrow night, you'll be able to catch it on TV. Dynamo in the CONCACAF Champions League. We've heard a lot of reports, even though it's not easy to see a lot of what's going on, but we heard a lot of reports that Sebas Ferreira has had a good preseason, has been banging in some goals. Anything you can say about him?
Both of those are true. He's been scoring consistently, not only in the games. Again, some of the competition, we have to take some of that with a grain of salt, in particular Mexico. but he looks confident. He looks a different player than I saw this time last year in front of goal. His understanding of what we want out of him. I think he seems more. He just has a better understanding of how he's going to have success and what the coaching staff, what the expectations are, and he's been great. He's been great so far. Now the real test comes. Again, it's one thing to score and do that in preseason, but now we play away at St. Louis, and what's the contribution then? And then at home against KC, and it just keeps coming. But there's no reason why he can't be a real productive forward for us.
Ben Olsen, Houston Dynamo head coach. So with Sebas, how much of that is about him changing, and how much is that about the manager Ben Olsen trying to play a little bit more to his strengths? Is it a combination?
Yeah, sure. I think we're always tweaking things to make certain players have success, right? There's some non-negotiables, and then there's some areas where we can maybe as you said, maybe from the game model, or putting players around him that can provide him opportunities to do what he does best, and that's score. And part of that is, I think we've thought about that a lot. We need to get him in front of goal more, so that's partly, on him to put himself in the right spots, which he does pretty naturally. But also we have to design ways to get into areas where we can get him service to help him have success. Yeah, this is not. Again, this has never been about Sebas Ferreira's not doing what he needs to do, right? This is, again, last year was last year, and I just didn't think we were in a spot to have as much success with him as I could a Corey Barrett or an Ibra. But that's changed this year. We're a little bit of a different team. We're clear on who we are. We're able to, at least down the stretch, provide more opportunities for forwards than we did in that early part of the year. So a lot has changed, and we hope and trust that he's going to be a real productive player for us this year.
A lot of speculation about Franco Escobar. Ben, is there anything you can say about that?
No. A lot of talk goes around this time of the year. Teams all look around at what they got, and the games are coming, and there's just a lot of movement, a lot of talk. So, agents and news reports talk and throw things out there. He's a good player. I could see why they would want him, but we're also in talks, and we'd like to add some players to this group as well. So it's just that time of year where there's going to be a lot of noise with that stuff, and ultimately, right now he's part of the Houston Dynamo.
Last one, Ben. We'll let you go. Thank you very much for your time. We wish you the best of luck against St. Louis tomorrow. Just out of the players that maybe the fan base doesn't know a whole lot about, draft choices, Siegel coming in the striker position. Anybody out of there that you're pleased with that's maybe emerging, and you might see something out on those players?
Yeah, go through a few of them. Siegel's a real hardworking forward, selfless, a guy that's going to give us significant minutes. Sebas is our starter, but he's going to be able to give us, in particular in certain moments of the game. Again, I think he's a capable backup in our league. He's shown that with NYCFC. He's put valuable minutes. He went to Europe and had a nice spell there in Israel. Again, just a nice culture piece too. A guy that works his ass off, and I think the fans will resonate with him. They saw Sebastian Kowalczyk last year. Hopefully, he's going to see bigger minutes this year. Bossy we know his quality, and Bossy's healthy, and he's still going to be on the field. But Sebastian has really had a very good preseason. Sometimes it takes some time for these guys to adjust to our league. And he came in last year, had about 6 months with us, 5 months with us. More times than not, that's a transition period, and they come in the next year. They understand the league, they understand the demands, they understand the game model and what we're doing here, and they start to accelerate kind of their role for the club. Ibrahim's in that same boat. Again, a transition guy over the last 6 months that did a good job for us at times, showed promise. They're both of them are very young. We expect a big year from Ibrahim Aliou and furthering his development. So we're excited to see more of him. Who else is there? The youngster, Silla. He's an exciting prospect that we picked up. He could see some first team minutes, but somebody that we want to spend some time with. Arnor's going to, I think, spend some time with the D2, but he's an 18-year-old player out of UVA that we like his skill set and looking forward to working with him. And Kenny Bunny with the second team is going to be a big part in some of their development. Jan Gregus is an experienced midfielder. A guy, as you said, Hector's going to be out for a little bit. He's a guy that can help us in experience and similar profile to Hector. Don't get me wrong. And I'd tell this to Jan to his face, he ain't Hector. But that's he has a good range of passing. He's calm, and he has some of the qualities that he has, so we can kind of continue to play, as you said, in that same way we've been playing towards the end of last year. Brooklyn, we're always rooting for Brooklyn. We always want him to push and get on the field, as we want these homegrowns that we help develop get on the first team. It's still one of the joys of my job is watching these young guys come onto the field. And he's had a very good preseason, and he's going to have some chances to earn it. So that's exciting. Who else you got on your brain?
I think that's kind of where we're at. Is Amin Bassi going to be? He's not available tomorrow, though, right? Because of the green cards.
No, he won't be. He's still in Europe, and you're at the mercy of these countries. You know, the green cards are important for both the player and the rest of their lives, and it's also important for us from roster management standpoint. So these things take some time, and you're at the mercy of the French government. If you got any connections there, let me know.
I'm not sure. I've drank a little French wine in my time, but that's about it.
Anybody listening to this that works in the French government, please call us.
Ben, listen, best of luck. Thank you so much for the time. This is a nice, real overview for the fan base. We appreciate it.
All right, Glenn. Thanks.
Thank you. That's Ben Olsen, head coach of the Houston Dynamo. We take a break here.
This is Soccer Matters on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Brought to you by the Daspit Law Firm. From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Glenn Davis.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Quick word here for Danish Inspirations, modern contemporary furniture, danishinspirations.com. That's our great friend Jan Christensen. He's very happy right now because Rasmus Højlund scored a brace for Manchester United in their 2-1 victory over Luton Town. So he's starting to score goals. But the best in modern contemporary furniture, Danish Inspirations. By the way, YouTube, Soccer Matters. We'd love for you to subscribe over there. Twitter and Instagram, at Glenn Davis Sock, at Soccer Matters GD. All the likes, the hits, the comments, all of this helps us stay on the air. You don't realize how much. TikTok, I think we're putting a lot of videos over there as well. We're getting 800 or 900 views, 700 views. So there we go. All right. So look, I said going to break, 713-780-3776. Give me your take on the Ben Olsen interview. That's why we stuck it in the second segment, so that you could digest it. So let's get some of your thoughts. 713-780-3776. 713-780-3776. We'll drop one of those sevens, not 777. 3776. So, look, we got the Dynamo in action in CONCACAF tomorrow. We have the Dynamo Saturday, back again in CONCACAF Tuesday. Saturday, they open at home. There was a lot in there from Ben Olsen. So what are you thinking? 713-780-3776. So here's what I'm going to tell you. This is not going to be the same season already, okay? Nor should it be. If you remember, I made the example of Austin FC. And by the way, at the beginning of the preseason, I said, put a circle around Franco Escobar because he came in as a right back. That job is now, technically, it looks like it's been won by Griffin Dorsey, which means Escobar might have to play that left back position again. And listen, having been a player professionally, you're brought in for one thing, you end up having to do another. You do it valiantly last year, but it's not necessarily where you want to be. So will Franco Escobar be happy? And this is a very galvanized group of guys. We saw that last year playing for each other. But everybody put in a great effort last year. Everybody wants a little bit more. Other players moved on. This is the way it works. Opportunity. I think you heard Ben Olsen saying there's a lot of opportunity for people, and I think there's a question mark there for them to see who takes the opportunity. Without getting a chance, you never know, right? So opportunity is going to be big for the likes of Brooklyn Rain, Sebastian Kowalczyk, Gabe Siegel, who's a striker that's come over from New York City SC, who's very much a Corey Baird type. You heard Ben Olsen say capable backup. He's a work ethic guy. That's one you got to tie right into Sebas Ferreira. If Sebas Ferreira scores goals and provides the work ethic and does the non-negotiable work that Ben Olsen wants, he could be there, but he's going to need the service. We move on then to Hector Herrera. Now that sounded like to me it could be a few months. Sounds to me like wear and tear, maybe arthritic, maybe a cleansing of the knee. Who knows? I'm just speculating here, so I'm not trying to play doctor. Okay, but that man put in a ridiculous effort last year, physically and mentally. I don't think that can happen again. So here's why I actually think this could be a very good thing for the Houston Dynamo. It's not good that we don't get to see him play, potentially for a couple of months, but it could end up being a very good thing. And the reason being is it will be a shortened season for Hector Herrera. And a shortened season, entering the fray at the right time could be a huge boost as the Dynamo build the camaraderie and build some experience for people in different positions here after losing some players in the offseason, right? And to injury, like Nelson Quinones. The game model, Ben Olsen said, might change, might have to adapt. If the Dynamo play with a box midfield and can't score goals their first 5 or 6 games, you may have to change it, right? Coco Carrasquilla, we all love him. Resigns. Don't forget, if somebody comes in with the right price for him in the summer, that's built into the contract. I can guarantee you that. So it has to be the right number, and the Dynamo seem to be pretty firm on what they believe that number is, and it doesn't seem like anybody's brought that yet. So the starting lineup looks to me maybe like this. You tell me, 713-780-3776. Steve Clark in goal. You got the veteran there, Escobar. Left back, will he be happy? Mikhail and Sviatchenko, I think they can only get better. The more games those guys have played, the better they get. Sviatchenko is just a huge signing. Griffin Dorsey, new contract, younger. He's got to live up to it. I think he's that kind of guy that's not going to get complacent with a new contract. Sebastian Kowalczyk, does he get a start with Coco up top in the box? Obviously, Artur in the 6 and Jan Gregush. Now, you could drop Coco into a little deeper, sort of like an 8 Hector's position, and put Gregush higher. That's a possibility because that, in fact, is where Coco has played for Panama. But if, in fact, Coco's going to be there all year long, you may want him there. These are just differing options you potentially have. Now, without Nelson Quinones, it looks as though Aliou Ibrahim goes to the inverted winger role on the left side of the field, and then Sebas Ferreira, you heard, is the starting striker tomorrow night for Ben Olsen. Brooklyn Rains, Gabe Siegel, what can they do? How big of a part of it are they going to be? I think Brooklyn Rains is closer in the pecking order now with Hector Herrera not available. What do you think your 11 is? 713-780-3776. 713-780-3776 is the number if you want to talk Houston Dynamo. If you want to tell me what you thought of Ben Olsen, you can tell me what you thought of the purple jersey. But tomorrow night it begins, and we're looking forward to seeing that. All right, some international updates as we wait for potentially some calls. 713-780-3776. Inter Milan 4-0 over Salernitana. Memo Ochoa took 4 goals in that game. Memo Ochoa wants to go to a 6th World Cup. Mexico fan, do you think he should? By the way, his team is 20th in the table out of 20 teams, only 13 points. We talked about Mo Salah and Liverpool getting that very important win. Liverpool is at top of the Premier League now at 57. We also had a very important Arsenal result. But here's the Manchester United result. Rasmus Højlund had a brace in the first 7 minutes of this game. United would go to win 2-1 at Luton Town.
No doubt, Andy, that Elijah Adebayo will be a big miss. Here's Højlund down the other end. Manchester United's first attack produces a goal inside 40 seconds, and the run continues. 6 Premier League games in a row. Rasmus Højlund scores. This is Garnacho, and it's in. Højlund spins away towards the corner flag. 2 goals in just over 6 minutes.
Yeah, so the first goal, by the way, it sounded like we just got the clip from where, but this was a huge mistake from Luton Town in the first 38 minutes, 38 seconds, excuse me, which led to the Højlund goal. Now, the second one was really instinctual and reactive, which obviously great center forwards are, but it's kind of a shot that's hit by Garnacho. I don't know if it took a deflection, but it really looks as though it's going way wide. And Højlund just kind of steps back and redirects it with his chest into the far side, the far corner past the goalkeeper. I thought it was a fantastic goal. Here's Erik ten Hag on Rasmus Højlund now as Manchester United's creeping up the table now on 44 points.
We are very happy with our recruitment and that we recruited the right character because he can perform under stress. And when things going against him, like in the first season half, he has the abilities to have a strong character and to be resilient and to determined and to score goals. And that is what we saw when we scouted him. And of course, he needed some support because it's not so easy when so young. But in general, he kept calm, and you see his abilities. And also, I want to mention in the start, he didn't have so much luck, and that are moments are very important to come in a new club, in a new league, especially for a striker to build some confidence. And that was him not given. But you see, he's a fighter. He keeps going, and he has great abilities in front of the goal. I think there are many areas where he can improve, but that he has scoring abilities, that's clear. But I think what we already have seen from September he's here, he's improving a lot also in many other areas, like holding up the ball.
Smoking a pancake? I love the Dutch accent. I love the Dutch accent. Smoking a pancake. So Rasmus Højlund is only 21 years of age from Denmark. He has an insatiable appetite as a striker. You have to have that. He's going to make the runs. He's going to throw his head anywhere. He's going to keep fighting. He's scoring goals. And as you heard Erik ten Hag say, as a striker, you do need some luck. But luck comes to those who are brave. Luck comes to those who are making 3 additional runs to the near post. Luck comes to those who make a second run within the moment of a singular buildup. So that's where luck comes. And the great strikers have that. All right. Producer Guillermo's a huge Barcelona fan. I got to give him this one. Robert Lewandowski, 90+7, the penalty to win the game for Barcelona against Celta Vigo in La Liga.
Viene el Tito. Para la revancha, para el replay. Ahí está Lewandowski. ¡Gol!
Okay, I'm glad you cut him off early. Yeah, love the goal call. Love the passion. All right, Kevin Stodger scoring the winning goal for Bochum. More woes for Bayern Munich. This one in the 78th minute. It ends up 3-2.
Bochum have the opportunity to go 2 goals clear. Kevin Stöger has never missed a Bundesliga penalty. 3 from 3 so far this season. Now he faces Manuel Neuer. So it's Stöger against Neuer to potentially seal it for Bochum! And Kevin Stöger comes out on top!
I like that music that gets tossed in there. All right, so look, Manchester United's back in the race for the top 4 now after the 2-1 win at Luton Town. We mentioned the Højlund goals and the 2-1 win. Carlton Morris of Luton Town pulled one back, a really brave header, and he did that in the first half. What I loved about this game, if you watched the Manchester United-Luton game, now Luton's a smaller club, just gained promotion. The fans were phenomenal at the end of this. The fans taught us all a lesson that your team may not get the result you want it to get. That doesn't mean you can't applaud them for the effort they put in. And you could really feel that. That's the beauty of the provincial team in England and La Liga and in the Bundesliga. That feeling of real community. People throw the word community around like there's no tomorrow. But that fan base stood there, applauded their players because they put blood, sweat, equity into this game, which is what they do probably in their daily lives when they go to work, right? If you can't work as hard for the people that are watching you, there's a real problem. So that's a nice thing from Luton Town. I love that. Well, I think this is going to wrap it up. By the way, a lot of differing moves here. Hugo Lloris to LAFC at 37 years of age. Nico Ladero, Seattle to Orlando City. There's a lot of different transactions that are kind of interesting. Derek Jones, the former Dynamo. Well, he goes to the Columbus Crew now from Charlotte. He's collecting teams like Arnold Palmer golf clubs. You know, some of these guys fit into this category in MLS where you just feel like they're going to have a ton of teams. All right, that's going to do it here tonight. Again, big thank you to Lamont Brands. That's where you get the Soccer Matters T-shirts and hats. March 17th, great soccer club in Houston, Cy-Fair Dynamo Youth. We have the pediatric cancer event that will benefit the Snowdrop Foundation. It's a soccer clinic. We want as many people out there as possible. I just posted the link on Twitter. Big thank you to Andrew Carlson, who moves on today from ESPN 97.5, who is a big part of this show. Every show we do, Andrew is a part of it. You too, Soccer Matters, Twitter and Instagram at Glenn Davis Sock, at Soccer Matters GD, TikTok Soccer Matters. Good night until Wednesday at 6. I'm Glenn Davis.